Again, coming back with part 2 of the 5-turn Russian campaign video series. This is the German attack on the first turn, June 41 by Tom Gregorio. I'm just going to go over it a little bit in detail and explain why some of the decisions were made, and then shortly follow up with a Russian turn. So here we have up in Finland. He did go ahead and run this unit out to here, which threatens to come around. Not too fast, because you only go one. You have to stop in the swamp every turn, and it doesn't move in the second impulse. But and then you got the 2-1 and the 4. Try and do some Russian casualties, break that river line. In the Baltic district, took a 2-1 raise to 5-1 here. Then on this guy, it's a little bit of a gamble. It's 15 and 3. It's 18 3-1 here. Looking for killing him would be great. And exchanges actually work well for the Germans early on. First couple of turns in the 5-turn scenario, just because the Russians don't have a ton of units to work with, and the German casualties aren't as critical as they are in the longer scenarios. What the Germans really want to avoid is contacts where they don't get to advance anywhere. Even an attack or retreat isn't too bad because it gets to move around the second impulse. Then we got 7 and 18 is 25, solid 5-1. 5-1 is pretty standard attack for the Germans in TRC. No chance of a contact. The worst that happens is exchange or DR, so definitely clear the hex. Except when you have a wood. So down here, we got 14 to 2, 7-1. It's looking pretty good attack, except if the ones or Tom's taking a little bit of a risk, which is understandable. And it's not the end of the world if he does roll one of these DRs. Odd one there. Leaves these guys alone, which is fairly standard because they're not going to get back in the Germans' way out in front of the bug at any rate. It is important to try and get the rail blocked so that this 5 can't rail out. Usually it's easy to block this one because all you got to do is get to these 2 hexes right here. So not attacking these 2 guys. We call it the low pocket. Usually it forms for the first few turns. The Russian needs a trap there. And here the Germans are coming through the mountains. Looks like the second impulse will actually be attacking these guys. Here we have a couple interesting attacks where Tom makes some interesting 2x attacks. In Russian campaign, you can't attack 2x's at once as long as all attacking units are adjacent to all defending units. In this case, 20 to 10. 6 plus 2 doubled is 10. And then Stuka raises 3 columns. So he's looking for the DE. He blows this way, and over here we have 8 to 8, 4-1. Now this is kind of risky. A contact here kind of gums the Germans up almost completely. So, but it's a necessary risk, and if he does succeed, especially with a DE, that completely opens up everything here on the second impulse. Over here we have 5-1. They're going to hit Odessa on the second impulse with these guys because they're going to move 2 up. It looks like the Russians aren't going to have a whole lot left. The Germans do bring a lot down into Romania, which is fairly standard, especially in the 5-turn. You're really trying to get a lot of penetration in the south. And the reason this happens a lot is because in the south you have a lot of the major cities that are worth 2 points each. You got Kharkov, Stalino, Rostov, Dnipropetrovsk, Kiev. Whereas in the north, the density of victory points is just not as high, and it's often very difficult to reach these, especially Moscow and here. So the south tends to have a greater importance in terms of the German victory point counts. It's also easier to get at it from this side as opposed to coming through here where you have to go through these mountains. So this is the first impulse attack. I'll go over some results shortly, and we'll see the second impulse and the Russian response. Okay, guys, I'm back again. We'll talk about the German results from the first attack. Use ACTS, automated card tracking system, which also has a dice roller and a log that's really convenient. I'll go over to that in a later video about play by email play and what you should use. Anyway. Start with the results. We got an attacker retreat on the 2-1 up here. Roll to 2. Tom retreats to there. Here we got a elimination, a DE. This one came a little later. We got a DE here as well. Doing pretty good. D here. Good D1 there, which is just as good. Contact here, which locks these guys in place, which is kind of nice. Don't mind that so much, but on this battle, you got a defender eliminated, which is rough. Defender surrenders on this one, so they go to can never be replaced. Then a defender retreat here, but he retreats. Attacker retreats units in this game. Retreats either there. Easy pick and second impulse. So in a minute here, I'll load up the second impulse, and we'll see those attacks, and then we'll get to the Russian turn after that. Second impulse for Tom's attack. Looking at Finland, there's nothing going on because the Finns only move in the first impulse. There are no contacts. The North, making a 5-1 there. Looks like he's making a good attack against the 3 and kind of a marginal 2-1, say, attack against the 6. It's not a big deal if he loses that attack because it's likely going to remain surrounded anyway. And it's a good tactic for the Germans to prevent the Russians from escaping, especially when they're forced to counterattack at really bad odds and end up dying anyway on the Russian turn. Soaking off against these guys, so I do get 2 relatively fast units out of the pocket here. They can run away and be useful later. If they were just playing infantry that only has 3 movement factors, then couldn't get away as fast. Here he AV'd, which is automatic victory. Got 10-1 odds on my 2-7, which is good because you get the 2-7 out of the game and clear space to get at the 5 a little better with a 3-1. Here we have a 2-1 on the 5. We don't necessarily need to kill it. Even an attacker retreat would lock the rail if it retreats to there. So in fairly good shape. So refight at the 4-1, which is good for the Russians. At least we found one victory where, and the mountain of defender eliminated is where we hold up the Germans down there for a little bit. Germans are taking a 4-1 here. Hopefully they only kill 1 unit. A good tactic on defense to pair a smaller unit with a bigger unit. So if you take 1 casualty on the D1 in exchange, you get to save your bigger unit. Then 5-1 in Odessa, and this guy's a 4-1 on the 3. So he's back to the sea. He's not getting away, most likely. See the results of these attacks momentarily. Alright, going over second impulse attack results. We had a DR here. DR here. A lot of DRs. That's nice. This is a contact on this low odds attack, though, so that means that 6-3 is stuck, and I'm not going to be able to save him on the first turn, so it's as good as killing him. Surrenders. You got an AR here, which it's not terrible for him because he gets his infantry a little bit forward, which is always good. It's hard to get the infantry up to the front, especially in the center. AR here. He covers his flank with his 4. And by retreating to this hex, he cuts off the retreat route, cuts off the rail. Another contact down here, which is nice. D1 here, which has just got a replacement pull and retreats him, and then knocked out these 2 guys. So not a bad result for the Germans. Some retreats in the north, which is nice for the Russians. That finishes up first impulse combat. We'll get to Tom's second impulse shortly. Feel free to subscribe, and thanks for watching.